Our distinguished speaker today is Loretta Lynch, the 83rd Attorney General of the United States. General Lynch was nominated by President Obama and took office on April 27, 2015. As Attorney General, she led the Department of Justice in its mission to enforce our nation's laws and ensure the fair and impartial administration of justice. During her tenure, the department was charged with addressing such pressing challenges as fighting terrorism, reducing violent crime, combating white-collar crime, protecting against cybersecurity threats, and ensuring civil rights. And the list actually goes on and on. It's quite a daunting task to be our Attorney General. Prior to becoming Attorney General, she twice served as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, and in between those two stints of service, she was a partner in the firm of Hogan and Lovells in New York, where she was also served as special counsel for the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Ms. Lynch is a graduate of Harvard College and Harvard Law School, and tomorrow she will be recognized with an honorary doctorate of humane letters from Duke University. She is a native of North Carolina. She was born in Greensboro, and she graduated from Durham High School. Her parents still reside here, and her family is here with us today, and welcome to Durham. I don't need to welcome you to Durham, but it is our privilege to welcome Attorney General Lynch to Duke Law School.
Class of 2017, this is it. Here it is. Congratulations to you and your families. Dean Levy, thank you so much for that kind introduction, as well as for your outstanding stewardship of Duke Law, as well as for you and your family's service to the Department of Justice, because I know that that's part of your family as well. The faculty members, the friends, the family who are here today to celebrate these outstanding young people, and all of you, the class of 2017, getting degrees as varied as SJD, LLM, JD, or joint degree. You represent the best of our profession. I am so happy to be here with you on this occasion. Now, of course, I have to tell you, little inside baseball. All of us who speak here are given very strict instructions about the time constraints, which is a good thing, because this is and should be all about you and the future. And of course, we all know the saying that the best commencement address is like the best commencement speaker, short. Although I do know also that I'm probably the last line of defense between many of you in the bar review course, so if you want me to keep it going, let me know. Just let me know. It is indeed good to be home as well. I know this area well and have been privileged to see the beautiful work that Duke has done in the community as well as through its student body. I grew up not far from here in Durham on Fayetteville Street. My father, who's with me here today, is a longtime pastor in this community. My mother, longtime school librarian and devoted Duke basketball fan, I'm here to tell you. My brother, who's also here with me, is the first person in our family to go to Duke. He has a master's from the Divinity School and is fond of telling me, for some reason, that as we are working to organize or clean, that nothing will make things go better than a Duke key ring. I don't know why the key ring is the thing that stands out most to him, but it is. And of course, when I was in high school, I did go to Durham High School, but I spent many an hour at Perkins Library doing my studies here as well. So Duke has been a part of my family for some time. So you all should take tremendous pride in what you have accomplished, the hours of research and study. I know 3 years went by so quickly, but we all know there are times when it felt like it would never end. All the work that you put in, 9 journals, I believe you all have, and the work that you are doing now to study for the bar, but even more importantly, each one of you, particularly those of you who are graduating with the JD degree, You've already moved into the world of practice. I was so proud to hear that all of you have done at least 50 hours of pro bono service through Duke's 11 legal clinics, and that you have already begun to work to bring justice to those who need it most, to the poor, to children, to inmates, to the sick. And this, more than anything else, is probably what I'm most proud of you for. The fact that you've already begun to devote yourselves to making this world a better place. Now, there's no doubt that you've left your mark here on this beautiful law school. You're going to cross the stage and get the hood. You'll get the degrees as well. There's no doubt about it. You've left your mark here. But the question before you now is, how are you going to leave your mark on the world outside of this beautiful campus? And that question can be hard to answer from where you sit today. Because as wonderful and remarkable as the practice of law is, and I was one of those rare people who enjoyed my time in law school, we all know we study law very often in the abstract. We focus on legal history. We focus on legal principles. We focus on precedent that's been long established and rarely overturned. And even those of you who are moving on to the most advanced degrees here have spent your time focusing on singular areas of research and writing. You can recite the path of the law for decades, if not centuries. Law school is a wonderful education. But one of the unintended consequences of the way in which we study law, the way in which we focus on the precursors of the law, is that it can make the law look frozen at times. It can make it look static at times. We spend so much time for every exam focusing on what is the state of the law now and putting that forth. That sometimes it gives us the impression that all of the great legal questions have all been decided. All of the great legal issues of the day have all been resolved. And you can wonder, what is there left for me to do? How will you make your mark on the world outside of this beautiful campus? And this is a thought that all of us have had. I remember sitting where you are when I came out of law school in the 1980s, wondering, how was I going to make my mark on the world? Where would the law take me? And right now, it can be a mystery. And when I sat where you are today, I have to tell you, I never dreamed of the opportunities that I was going to have to play even a small role in big decisions. I never imagined that I'd be part of a case that would send the clear message that police officers are not above the law. When I sat where you were today, I never imagined that I would be able to play a role in extending the protection of the law for our LGBTQ Americans, friends, brothers, and sisters, or in mending the relationships between law enforcement and the communities that we serve. I never imagined those things when I was in your chair. But being able to do them has been the honor and, in fact, the joy of my life. Now, of course, you may be thinking, well, that's easy for you to say because you achieved a lot of things. You became the Attorney General. But I tell you, when I was sitting where you are, when I looked at my career path, Attorney General was probably right above, I don't know, point guard for the Blue Devils and what I thought I could do. But I also want to tell you that you don't have to become the Attorney General to leave that mark. You don't have to become the Attorney General to make that impression. It is not the title on your door, it is the passion in your heart. That's what will make the difference in the world that you are about to inherit. And for all of you who've asked, either out loud with your friends or maybe just to yourself, you've asked, where is my chance to make law, to change precedent, to change the world? Where is my time? I'm here to tell you, here it is. Here it is. There is no better time, there is no greater need than right now. There's no better time to be alive, and in my view, there's no better time to be a lawyer than right now. There are vital questions of justice that have to be decided in so many areas, and they affect not only the future of these United States, but also of the world. You see these debates going on now, debates over the most basic concepts, literally, who gets to be an American? Who and how do we define a citizen of the world? Who is responsible for addressing climate change? How do we make sure that our systems of education, our systems of justice, how do we make sure that our systems of healthcare are more effective and more fair for everyone? And as you look at all of these debates, I hope that what you see as you peel away the vitriol and noise, I hope that what you see is that the law is central to all of them. The law can be the key to all of them. And I'm sure you see that these debates are not going to be over soon. You are about to join these debates. You will be carrying on these discussions, not in the theoretical world of your study group where you've honed your arguments, but in the real world where you will apply them. And you are the people that we are entrusting to find new solutions. So as you begin or continue your careers as lawyers, I want you to think of yourselves not just as stewards of the law, as we are all so often called, but as the sculptors of the law. Think of yourselves as people who, by dint of your education, your passion, your creativity, you can shape not just whom the law protects, but how it protects them. Think of yourselves, because you are, the leaders who can align the law with the unique needs of this wonderful century of ours and bring more justice to more people around the world. Now, of course, after you've done all of your exams and you're beginning the bar, you're probably saying, yet more homework from the Attorney General. Where do you begin? Where do you start? That can be a daunting question as well. And I would submit you should begin by asking yourselves one simple question and hold it dear to your heart. What is my responsibility to those whom I may never know? What is my responsibility to those whom I may never know? And as soon as you begin to filter your work through that prism, you will see the many ways that the law is ripe for growth and change, and the ways in which you can be that change. What is my responsibility to those whom I may never know? And I think that question has a real resonance in today's world, because we've established networks of finance and commerce that touch the lives of people on the other side of the world. The world is truly flat, as has been argued before. But we've only begun to really focus on the legal framework necessary to ensure that the decisions that are made here in the U.S. respect the rights and the dignity and the welfare of those who are impacted by those decisions. Now, we've all seen the recent rise of nationalism in so many parts of the world. Is that perhaps a response to the fact that the law has not kept up with the pace of international development and that too many people feel exploited or feel excluded from the modern world? From the abundance that many of us have, many people feel that there's a wall there between them and that progress, and that they have nowhere to turn for redress. What is my responsibility to those whom I may never know? And of course, those challenges are on the global stage, but they are also right here. We see them every day in the debates going on. We see Americans who are still suffering. Main Street is still suffering from the excesses and damage of Wall Street over a decade ago. Too many of our fellow citizens still live in fear of law enforcement and those who seek to protect and serve. And in a country founded on equal justice under the law, too many Americans are literally priced out of the courtroom. They cannot afford to vindicate their basic rights. And more than 50 years after Gideon v. Wainwright, too many Americans still face the specter of criminal prosecution without adequate representation. And what I think is truly going to live along as one of an emblem of national shame, more than 50 years after the passage of the Voting Rights Act, too many Americans, many of them right here in North Carolina, are confronting new barriers to the ballot box. And as a result of all of these challenges and so many more, we see growing divides in our country between the coasts and the heartland, between cities and rural communities, between those with higher education and those without. And what is threatening to make those divides even larger is how rarely those of us on one side of the divide think about our responsibilities to those on the other. This is a mutual failing. And the result is that too many ordinary Americans from all backgrounds often live with this sense of anxiety that somehow they're not able to fully participate in the American dream, or even that that system, that dream, is rigged against them. And most importantly, their fear and concern that they have no advocate, they have no champion, they have no one to stand beside them in the halls of power. But as of today, they do, because they have all of you. And graduates, you have the responsibility, coming from this wonderful institution which puts such great emphasis on service to others. You have a responsibility as lawyers, as the men and women entrusted by our society with the pursuit of justice. And above all, you have that responsibility of citizens of this country and of the world. And I urge you to take that responsibility seriously. Now, we often talk about this sense of responsibility for lawyers, and people think, and particularly when you're talking to someone like me who spent so many years in public service, that that's the path that we advocate for all of you. But this issue is not limited to those of us who are in public service or the public sector, or even those of us who are in litigation, where people tend to think that these works reside. Maybe your love and your joy is in the structuring of transactions, running the engines of our economy. You have a responsibility to make sure those engines run not just smoothly, but fairly. You have a responsibility to make sure that the companies that we build do not rely on either slave labor or other inappropriate sources of labor. You have a responsibility to make sure that as we build not just this economy, but the world economy, we adhere to labor standards, to environmental standards. And for those of you who are going into the traditional fields of law, that can be your love as well. But how are you sharing the skills that you have? If you're at a firm, can you take on pro bono work? And if you're entering government, don't just ask if a policy is lawful. Ask, is it just? Ask, is it right? Ask, will it help the people that you are charged to protect and serve? And ask what kind of a culture is going to arise from our laws and our regulations. And whatever you choose to do, whatever your goal, whatever your lodestar in this wonderful profession of ours, ask what kind of a world are you building? Where does reality break from our ideals? And how can you work to close that gap? So wherever your career takes you, always think of the people who are not going to get to sit in the rooms that you're going to be able to inhabit. Think of the people who haven't had your opportunities, and always think also of what you want this world of ours to look like when your time on earth is through. And that will always guide you to the right choice. You will be amazed at the difference you can make in the real lives of real people people whom you may never know. You'll be engaged in the most satisfying work that any lawyer can have, the work of building a brighter future that is our shared hope, that is our common dream. Now, as you've seen, and one thing that law school should have prepared you for is the fact that this work is not easy, but the rewards are infinite. Nothing about the future that we have charted for ourselves as a country or as individuals is guaranteed. Progress comes slowly, and once it does, it's often very fragile. But it is possible. We have seen it done. And I know it's possible because I've seen how far we've come. I'm a child of this great state. I'm a child of this beautiful place that you all have come to for this wonderful education that you've had. But when I was born more than 50 years ago, the idea that a person should be able to marry whomever they love was inconceivable. And today, the Supreme Court of our land has affirmed this right to marriage equality. Never thought that would happen. When I was born, women were still second-class citizens, particularly here in the South. As beautiful as this place is, you often had to leave to achieve your goals. And today, we teach our daughters that there are no limits to their futures. And when I was born, the laws of this state, my home state, told me which restrooms I could use, told me the restaurants at which I could eat. And today I'm able to stand before you having served as our nation's chief law enforcement officer for our nation's first Black president. Change is possible, even when you think it will never come. And as I look out at all of you today, not just what you've done, but what you're about to do, your talent, your energy, your passion, I have confidence. I have faith in the future. Yes, our national debate is challenged. Yes, the arguments rage on. But you are about to join us all in that debate, in that discussion. You are going to make the ideals that we all hold dear a glorious reality for everyone, one step at a time. So graduates, let me add my congratulations to those you are receiving today. Let me also thank your family and friends for being your support and your bedrock as you have walked this path and achieved this goal. And as you enter this wonderful profession of ours, there's so much that awaits you. I'm so happy for you when I think of all that you have yet to see. You're going to find challenges, but you're going to find friendship. You're going to find adversity, but you're going to find opportunity. And above all, you will find something that touches your heart. I promise you that. Class of 2017, congratulations for all that you've done and all that you are about to do. We are so proud of you.